Hey guys, welcome to Make a Mat. Today I'm excited that I'm going to be building a lumber cart. My garage is used for many things. I work on cars, I help repair things from the house, and now I'm doing more and more woodworking and I'm wanting to have a little bit of wood storage. Up until this point I've been storing my wood behind cabinets or under shelves, and this lumber cart is going to really help things go a lot smoother when I build out here. I hope you guys like it and come check it out. I just wanted to show you guys where I'm having to store my plywood right now. I got this filing cabinet that I use to store a lot of my tools and stuff in, which is great, but I'm having to store my plywood up behind it, which it works, but when I need to get it out, it's a real pain. I wanted to show you where I'm storing my lumber right now. I have the plywood behind the cabinet, like I said, but all my boards are just stacked up here underneath this storage shelves that I built. I do use this garage to store a car. My main hobby up until this point has been working on cars, and so I have tons of tools, extra tires, everything out here, and so fitting my wood in amongst this stuff has been difficult. This lumber cart is going to help me a great deal. Alrighty, this project is fairly simple in how many cuts you need with your miter saw, because there's only 3 cross boards and then the rest are all just the 8-foot boards as you see it. Here you see me drilling the pocket holes, and as you see this poor little piece of OSB straining under the force of my dull pocket hole drill bit, and so after this project it convinced me to swap out to my other drill bit, making these a lot easier for the future projects. Here I'm just laying it out in the positions I want it to be and then distributing the screws. You'll see me do the 2 ends, and then the center one is slightly offset from the center of the 8-foot board, so then when I attach the vertical support piece it will be directly center. But due to this is just some shop shelving, I don't really care it's precise. As you see here, it's a little bit of a warped board on my warped concrete. Just getting it to fit together as best I can and snugging up those screws. Alright, here I have a half a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. This is a leftover from one of my other projects I previously made, and I've also been using it around the shop as kind of a mobile workbench on these sawhorses. I used it to support a transmission when I rebuilt that, and so it's got some grease and dirt on it, so it's not really good anymore for fine woodworking. But I'm going to cut this up and use it to be the supports of the lumber cart. This is what I have to work with, so I kind of sketched up a few things, hoping it'll fit on this dimension. If not, I'm going to modify it this way to keep the costs down, and hopefully you could do the same thing with some extra wood you have around your shop. Okay, so this angled board was basically just dimensioned by figuring out how much of a bottom shelf I wanted based off of the size of the lower cart you saw me assemble earlier, and then I just reduced that by a few inches on the top to create a nice angled slope. And after you see me cut the first one here, I used the cut off piece as the template for the rest of the cuts, lined up my saw guide here, and just repeat the cut. Alrighty, I'm going to use my $17 Black & Decker jigsaw to finish making some of these cuts to notch out for the crossbars on the plywood. So on this notch you only have to cut the notch out of the center vertical support. That way the two 2x4s that we use to support the back of the plywood will be able to go through that, keeping it flush. Here I am cutting the width of the, what I call the floor of the lumber cart, where all the plywood will sit on, and then attaching it to the front edge of the frame. As you can see, the board overhangs a little bit weird in some places due to the warped 2x4s, and I use some clamps and stuff to try to bring it out as close as I can. Here you'll see that I set the plywood vertical support on the floor or on the base of the plywood and attach it with screws, and here I clamp on a 2x4 underneath the plywood support so I make sure it rests perfectly flush, and then attach it with 4 or 5 screws, giving it a lot of strength. Never mind the fact that my camera likes to change focus automatically. There you can see the use of that vertical notch in the center support, and then just drilling and screwing 2 screws on each section, and then repeat that for the top. I was a little worried that those vertical plywood supports wouldn't have enough strength laterally, but when they're all tied together with the 2x4s and then the 4 or 5 screws in the bottom, it's actually really sturdy and strong. Installed this board on the edge to help prevent any plywood from slipping off the edge. I'm hoping to be able to carry 10 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood on this, just if I'm stocking up to do a big project, and this will be able to keep all those in check without rolling off. Alrighty, here's the lumber cart all assembled. I had up here on this chair to be able to install the casters. You saw the casters installed in a previous clip, but I had them installed just with some drywall screws because my shipment of lag bolts hadn't come in yet. So I just replaced it with lag bolts with some casters off of Amazon, and I actually was really happy with how they turned out. Well, I'm really happy this plywood cart is done. I'm excited to store some boards and some plywood sheets up here on the front. I was inspired by designs I saw people build, such as Jay Bates or plans I found from Woodcraft magazine. I did modify it to be a little wider to store more sheets of wood, and also to be able to store some boards here on the backside. I know there's going to be a few upgrades in the future as I learn how I want to use it and modify it more. If you like this video, please subscribe and give me the thumbs up, and I hope you come back and check out the next build here on Make It Matt. Hey, thanks for coming and watching this video. Here are some other projects you might want to check out. Or you can click the middle button to subscribe, or come follow me on Instagram where I share other stuff or smaller projects that I don't make videos for. Thanks again.